So Mafia Definitive Edition is out this week. I've been playing a review copy for the last week or so, and I did the game ranks before you buy. I'm the before you buy person there. So if you haven't seen these videos on this channel, what I like to do here is just kind of focus on a couple of the things I really love about a specific game. This is where I come to just gush about stuff, and I'm gonna gush about Mafia because you guys probably know I really like this series. I like Mafia stuff, so I'm very happy to report to you, as someone who was a fan of the original Mafia game in 2002-ish, or at least like the busted console version of it, this new one I think is pretty damn good. I think for fans of the series, I think there's a lot of exciting stuff, and it's fun to experience it again. It's nostalgic, it's entertaining, it's story focused, and it's also a little old in certain ways, but in a way that is very important. It's not like this crazy open world thing. This is a completely linear single player narrative experience. This is the type of game I feel like so often like we kind of like beg for, or like we're like asking like, they don't make these games anymore. Here is one that I think is the perfect example, and it's honestly refreshing. So I kind of, some of the stuff I might repeat myself here, but basically you do a mission, the mission's over, the next mission starts. They don't just put you out there and then say, go drive and find the next thing. No, it just keeps going. And it's paced really well, and it gives the game a lot of time to make sure that all the things you do, all of the moments essentially are moments. They're not just filler content. Every single thing you go and do has a specific theme to it, music, set pieces, action moments. So it feels like just tightly well done. Do you have a problem? You're distracting me. Don't get me wrong, like I like these big open world, crazy, massive budget games sometimes. I'm a sucker for them. It's like a guilty pleasure. You guys know I love every Assassin's Creed, so sometimes I do like having big maps filled with game world stuff to do. But the fact that you don't here makes it feel extra special. And it's crazy to say that because it's not the only game to do this. You know, this isn't like a new thing, but it's just something that we don't see as often anymore. And the focus is really on the single player storytelling here, and it's pretty damn good. It gets more interesting as it goes. It starts off a little bit just kind of like your typical Mafia movie stuff, but they do really interesting things here, and they have some pretty interesting characters and some big moments in a fictional kind of fake Chicago, which is something very interesting that they did here. Unlike the original game, they have completely new voice actors and people playing these characters, motion capture, voice, face, and everything like that. And they tried to go for a little bit more of a periodic, more accurate, like Chicago hard R. Like everybody associates mob stuff like they talk like me, you know, but there's the Chicago side of it where everybody sounds like comedian Sebastian Maniscalco. I can't even do it. I feel like I just insulted every Chicago person out there. Hi, your pizza's okay. Anyway, I think with that, what you get is just like a little bit more color to a lot of the characters. I really liked the original Tommy. I liked his voice and everything, but in this game, they made him hot. But you get a little extra context, you get a little flavor. You know, Don Salieri feels a little more interesting. He's a little less one note, and some of it isn't even just like they added dialogue or they tweaked dialogue or anything like that. It's the fact that his face is a performance too. Like you actually get some emotions there. You get characters that sometimes don't say anything. You get characters that just make facial expressions, and it works. There's a little bit more for Sarah as well. And you tie all this story stuff in with just the world itself, and it, like Mafia 2, if you've played Mafia 2, you know that the open world is kind of set dressing. It's stuff you drive through. It's stuff you do stuff in, but you're not necessarily always walking down the street or running around and doing activities or gunning down people. Like it's not really designed like that. So when you go down to a granular level, there's not a ton of detail, but as you're just driving by and soaking it all in, it's perfect. Like, let me ask you, do you like video game escapism? Because I think they definitely have it done really well here. You get in your old car, it sounds authentic, it's highly detailed, it's period accurate, except for like logo branding and stuff like that. You get in, you putter along these roads, the suspension rocks in the right ways, elevated subway trains go by, factories work, people walk down the street milling about, there's paper boys, there's busy markets, there's immigrant villages, there's Hoovervilles because it is a Depression era game, there's Prohibition style propaganda, I guess you would call it. I don't know what it would, like, just shit plastered everywhere, and it's actually kind of spooky just to kind of like get a bit more of a glimpse of like seeing what Prohibition was and the motivation behind it. Just seeing that plastered all over walls and stuff really gives good context to the world, and honestly, like, what these crime guys kind of started out doing. Also, with the fact that, like, there's the air of the Depression around it as well, the Great Depression, which you can read through, like, magazine clippings and stuff like that are talking about, like, unemployment rates dropping, and it's very it's very relevant. So, like, it can be heavy and interesting without, like, it being in your face, but, you know, you're driving around, you have the radio on, you have that old time, you're like, which I'm literally, because I had to, like, binge the game over the course of a couple days, I just have it in my brain still when I go to sleep, or when I try to go to sleep, and it all just hits exactly right because the game looks so good from a presentation standpoint. The fact that the load screens are, like, the coolest looking load screens I've ever seen, to just the actual graphics of the game. I played on PC. This is all PC gameplay. I was able to have it pretty maxed out, but still, like, from an art direction, style, and everything, I think it looks really damn good when the sun is bright and shining, or when there's, like, a heavy rainstorm in the game with rain-soaked streets and neon lights and stuff. That's where the game is really firing on all cylinders, and it's really, really impressive just to, like, kind of sit and look at, especially considering certain areas of the game, certain set-piece moments and stuff are highly stylized and just kind of made to be iconic, you know, inspired by other movies in this type of genre. So for that, I absolutely love it. I actually really like the driving too. I think the driving is really fun and quick and nimble, probably unrealistically nimble, but I still think it's fun to drive that way. There are some options to tweak if you are a purist and you like more of a simulation feel, and you can get pulled over for speeding. It's not as fleshed out as I would like, but it's there. The shooting and the cover systems leave a little bit more to be desired for me. I talk more about why I don't like it in other videos, but what I do like about it is the Tommy gun has a really good feel to it. The Tommy gun and, like, a good shotgun, that connection that you can make when you fire, and the dudes, like, kind of get bloody and, like, very realistically slump over. It's interesting, especially when you have blood splattering on walls and you have, like, wood and cover breaking up. Certain shootout moments are good for that. Even if I'm not happy with the controls, sometimes just the feel and impact of it is pretty good. And honestly, there's more driving than shooting, oddly enough. Also, the race car mission. I want to talk about that for a second. So the old game had the infamous race car mission. It was for younger players, kind of the part where the challenge kind of ramped up and you got stuck. For some people, it was just annoying. And then, of course, when I made a video talking about it, everyone's like, oh, it's easy, I beat it. The mission has a reputation for a reason. But here, it's in the game, and I will say I personally thought it was very, very easy. Maybe it's because now I'm, like, a seasoned gamer. Maybe it's because the driving controls are a bit more updated and a little easier to drive. But regardless of the challenge, it was such a fun mission. Driving this car through the city streets, I think it was just because of the mechanics and, like, how the driving feels. It just made it an absolute blast. This thing tears ass faster than anything else in the game. And I don't want to, like, go into it too much, but I was just blown away. Like, after I finished that mission, I went, wow, that was a really fun mission. What the like, I never do that. I'm soulless now at this point, but I was like, wow, that was awesome. Really, it's just a well-paced, immersive, good adventure. It's not full price too, which I really commend them for. I think if you get, like, the 3-game bundle, I think that is a steal, but if you just get this, I think it's worth it. I would definitely say if you've only played Mafia 2 and you liked Mafia 2, I'm really excited for you to experience this, because it's like that, but more, and, you know, more of the trench coat Tommy gun Prohibition type stuff, which is fun. A couple of things I would really like to see if we're here. I would almost love to see it get little story expansions like how Mafia 2 did post-release. I would love to see that here, since now they have this game world that they built, regardless if they used sort of an engine and some assets from Mafia 3. Still, they built up a whole new Lost Heaven, and it looks fantastic, so I'd love to have more reasons to jump back in. Also, the game needs a photo mode, man, because there are some points in this game where I was like, damn, holy shit. Just, like, standing on the water, looking at the bridge, walking down a rainy street at night, just some iconic moments in the game, like walking Sarah home, to when you have the headlights blasting at you in the pouring rain out in the countryside. Like, there are some moments in this game where I really wanted to stop it and move the camera around and take a photo mode shot. I'm sure PC fans are going to work on stuff like that, and I'm looking forward to that, but Yeah, and just getting lost in this game and going along the adventure, I think was really, really a good time. And again, a breath of fresh air. It feels old in the sense that it is just a game that puts you in a big world, but it just says, do the missions. Don't get distracted. That for me was refreshing. Maybe I'm just burnt out from so many games that are packed with stuff and filler to keep me busy and feel like I spent my $60 worth and I got my money's worth, even though the stuff I'm playing is often, recycled, or it's like a crazy epic long RPG. This was just video game. You play it, cool, it's good. That's all well and good, but I also just want to say, do The Godfather next, please. The original Godfather game I thought was fantastic. I'm also, again, like I said, a big fan of this stuff. I wasn't as big of a fan of The Godfather 2, but can we get that again? Can we also get the Scarface game again while we're at it, if we're talking about underrated, weird crime games that we would never see today? Anyway, rant over. I definitely recommend it if you like single-player, good story, narrative stuff. And chances are, if you're watching me, I feel like we kind of like similar things. I do want to say, I always say it, thank you for clicking on this. Thank you for clicking on me. Clicking the like button does help. But I do want to hear from you guys what your favorite Mafia game is. I want to know what your experience is with the original game. Did you play it back in the day? Did you play it on PC? Did you play it on console? Maybe you only played Mafia 2. Maybe you're looking forward to this. Maybe you're jumping in today. What do you think? First impressions so far. Let's talk about anything Mafia. I want to hear from you guys. But I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.